It should come as no surprise that Ohio Theta's culture of innovation has led to a rise of new challenges and opportunities for the fraternity. Year after year growth of the chapter can be attributed to excellence in recruitment, programming, operations, development, and finances. This display of excellence, however, does not come without limits. Growth has led to outgrowth, and 321 Jocelyn Avenue, Ohio Theta's home for decades, could no longer contain its brotherhood.
Abraham and another alumnus, Bert Bullock, they were kind of seeing what was happening on campus. Pikes were doing stuff, SAE was doing stuff with their housing. The university was doing everything up the street with Stratford Heights and the Greek housing there.
We had outgrown our house as a chapter. And if we wanted to continue to grow, we needed to do something to expand.
The house was starting to show its age.
We had maintained this building pretty well with the fire sprinklers, the metal roof, repairing the gutters, the box gutters. And so we had poured money and poured new windows even. We'd poured money into the chapter without taking on debt.
And it had been 20 years since we did the last major project, was the porch.
When it came up to time to look at seriously expanding the chapter building, we would go to conclave with new building designs. The question was how much money to spend, how much money could we raise. This chapter is not that old. It's relatively young compared to other chapters on this campus. And was there going to be enough funding to garner $1 million? And I had my doubts because I know some of these people. We don't have that kind of wealth just rolling around here. We had an architect that I knew doing some renderings and what have you.
And he came up with a couple of ideas, but it just didn't resonate with the chapter. We had the pit out there right at the end of that first floor extension, and the first idea was, well, let's just extend over the pit. Let's knock down some stuff and build up. And we started talking with headquarters.
Ray and I would go to conclave with spreadsheets, renderings, cost estimates, high ones, low ones.
Yeah, that was okay, but you're Ohio Theta. You guys should do something big, something meaningful. And so we went back to the drawing board, literally.
Ray had contacted me to be on the alumni board to look at house operations, and Ray said, I might have something else you'd be interested in.
We hired Dean Lutton, who's our architect, and he was actually a Balanced Man Scholarship finalist. He knew Ohio Theta life, what it was like to be a brother and what it was like to spend so much of your time here.
And we knew we would get a lot of heart and feeling into the project from him.
We didn't want to level the house and do something brand new. That could have been done, but there's too much history. There are a lot of memories here. There's a lot of stories from the different rooms. I lived in the front 5.
He gave it some energy, gave it some traction.
When you come in the front door, we wanted a grand entry, trophy and award case, and the glass focal wall. It's going to have the grandeur that SIGEP Ohio Theta really deserves.
We went through a process that was recommended to us by headquarters of coming up with a design, taking it out to an alumni base for a feasibility study, and then deciding from there if we're going to launch this thing and make a go of it or not.
The decision came at that time to go ahead and buy the apartment building next door, which ran against everything I wanted to do because we needed the land. And running 2 buildings is death to an alumni board because it's a lot of work. But without the land, you couldn't make a decision, should we stay or move? And eventually you're in the meetings at conclave and everybody's looking at us saying, you went ahead and got a loan locally to buy an apartment building and they loaned you money and you're a fraternity. And they said, well, you need to teach us how to do this.
And we ran it as an apartment building for a little while until we sorted out what we were going to do.
And that was my job, to run that. In addition to, of course, by that time we had more people on the board.
We created a group called the House Planning Committee, and we had some talented folks. Dean knows his stuff. Scott Rogers knows his stuff. Not only does he know his stuff as an architect, well, he did the back porch, so he knows where all the old shutoffs and hookups and all that stuff are. And so it was neat, and obviously Abraham was there. He obviously knows where the bodies are buried. Getting their input from guys through the years, and you mix it in with young guys like Micah Schell, Nick Burr, Chaz Wiederhold, Jarrett Frauhager. So we would meet weekly at Miller Valentine. We work through the nitty-gritty details of what's going here and where, and to see that partnership through the years to get the plan to come together, that was really special. I don't actually know about any of that stuff, so I was just there guys, we got to keep it moving. Just keep it going.
Headquarters would look at our plans. Oh, you're not thinking big enough.
You have this lot next door. You need to go big or go home. So we did a massive design where there was a central courtyard, the building wrapped around.
All of us really wanted to do the $3 million project, but we didn't really think there was $3 million.
It was too much building really to be financially responsible.
And the truth came out that somewhere in the middle was the right price point.
We came up with a couple of designs. We held focus groups, and there was challenge sessions like, well, what are we trying to accomplish? Why are we doing this? What's the current state of the chapter?
Massaging those designs over a couple of years to a price point that we could afford, it was fun. It was fun. It was amazing to see the contributions for everybody, picking apart the design, putting it back together, questioning this, questioning that. You knew you were going to have a good result because we're in a very tight spot on this land here.
The detailed design work started in December of 2013. And as we started getting into some of the design and right sizing it and stuff like that, we decided to kick off the actual campaign.
I was co-chair of the fundraiser, along with Kamenovich, and I put the arm on a lot of my friends.
Raising the money on the campaign put us in touch with so many alumni that we hadn't heard from in a long time.
It wasn't a really hard sell.
And we were at it all the way up till we broke ground.
Beginning on June 14, 2014, Sigma Phi Epsilon Ohio Theta broke ground on a $2 million expansion project.
The first phase was renovation. We started vacating the apartment building. We had guys move out here in May as well. Furniture was locked up, stored, composites were off the walls, and it was eerie. Seeing the house like that, you see a house empty, it feels different. There was some remediation work that we had to do for hazardous materials and things like that, and demolition started in June of 2014.
Well, you never know exactly what's behind the walls.
There was a couple times I got a phone call from the project manager. Well, did you know that there was another roof under the first roof? And we're like, yeah, did we not mention that? We forgot. There might be some stuff under there you don't want to get into.
And so we knew there could be potential pitfalls, so we tried to not touch the areas we didn't have to and just expand where we thought there wasn't anything dramatic behind the walls.
And we got lucky. There wasn't any major, there was a couple hiccups and there was a couple uh-ohs.
The only stair that went up to the third floor wasn't to code, and the second means of egress was out through the fire escape, which isn't allowed anymore. But then we found a better way to do it and took the previous entry and turned that into an enclosed rated stair. And in the whole entryway, there's actually some steel columns behind the walls that just happened to come across because there was a hole in the wall. Imagine that, a hole in the one of the walls.
And they were working around the clock. They had guys down here on Saturdays and Sundays, jackhammering. It was crazy how many people were here working. We felt it was important to get guys back living in the house, even though it's still under construction. It was a pardon our dust type of environment while we renovate, but this has been our home for so long. To not be able to use that at all would have been tough for a year. The rain that came in August and September of 2014, we had to peel back some of the old roof to tie in the new roof, right? When you start peeling it back and then you get torrential downpours, that doesn't go well. And I get like 3 texts from Jarrett. Hey, it's leaking. And I look outside and it's raining hard. And I'm like, oh man, this is not good. What do you do when there's torrential downpours but put buckets under where it's raining, right? The second phase was adding that whole wing on.
We found out through some test borings that back at the alley there's a lot of rock near the surface. So we revised that whole wing and brought it up a story. So now on the first floor, it's all academic space except for the president's room. It's the public front. Then you go upstairs and it's all the residential rooms.
The elevator shaft went in, all of that. So at that point it became a stick build, right? We just had to build the walls, and it was kind of neat being out here on a weekly basis, seeing that go in, standing in what would be the new chapter room, and it's just a pile of gravel. And then you come out 2 weeks later and at least there's concrete, and then after that there's framing around it, and then after that, you know, there's a ceiling over our head, and It happened fast. They did a good job managing it, and we were down here a couple times a week. Scott Rogers would come down, check status, check up on things. Dean would come by as the architect.
I think the facility is excellent. The educational space is stunning, and they're just now getting everything rolling with the classes. And I think Ray and Dean, everybody else hit it just right.
The house was expanded and features a new 2-story entryway, a chapter room that provides space for social and philanthropy events, a residential learning space, a library facility equipped with computers, a 3-car garage, and an entire wing dedicated to a learning community. These enhancements will ensure excellence in innovation and deeper growth in the fraternal values of virtue, diligence, and brotherly love for generations to come.